Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the Tape on Inside the Birds. I'm Jeff Mosher alongside Adam Kaplan. And when we're talking Inside the Tape, we're breaking down tape of the Eagles' last game. We bring in the godfather of tape breakdown, Greg Cosell. And Greg, listen, I don't think anybody's expecting a lot of sugarcoating here and flowers and daisies about the Eagles' defensive performance in their 34-17 loss to the Giants. We'll get into some of the breakdowns that you saw on tape. But it's sort of like adding insult to insult because it was announced Monday on his Instagram that Zadarius Smith, who I think was playing pretty decently for the Eagles, announced his sudden retirement. So, Adam, Greg, this is a development that is not good for a defense that's already coming off a bad game. And Adam, in general, we still got a couple of weeks before Nolan Smith comes back. So it's gonna be a little bit of a roll of the dice here from a depth standpoint for the next few weeks.
Yeah, you got that. You got after the bye, the Eagles are hopeful that Smith will be back. But the big thing is the trade deadline is 3 weeks from today. And look, the Eagles have so many needs. Corner's by far the number one. Like there's no close second. Number one, look, edge now. It wasn't so much depth to start the season. It's just the quality of the pass rush was not good enough. Now Smith's hurt. Zadarius Smith, and they were not expecting this. He retired. He informed them on Monday morning that he was retiring, and now I don't know that this had anything to do with it. I thought it was interesting how Ojulari started over him.
Yeah, that was
the
weird.
Last game. I thought that was odd, and he played fewer snaps than we'd expect. But moving forward here, this leaves them in a tremendous hole because Patrick Johnson's their 4. Uche is a smaller player, but he showed he could still play. But you can't play him a ton of snaps. Hunt, as we talked about in the offseason and training camp, not there as a pass rusher. That's still held to be true. It's just when you go through this thing, it's they're just, and Ojulari is, you don't want him starting. You should be playing a lot, maybe a third of the snaps at most. So yeah, they got a problem here. And I know the fans are clamoring for Campbell to play edge. Greg could attest to the way they've used him in the box to help against the run, but he's not been really much of a pass rusher. So either you blitz more, because Smith was a factor. I mean, he did a good nice. It wasn't so much sacks. It was just everything that he gave them, Jeff. So as I sent it back to you, they've got a problem, which we knew about. It's now got worse. Remember, they signed Smith because it was an issue.
Yeah. And Greg, it seems like with Zadarius Smith, who had some good size, and we talked about when they signed him, even the ability to move inside and play in nickel if they wanted to. It looks like right now the Eagles have 3 or 4 lightweight situational pass rushers, and not a killer. Not like that one guy that they usually have who can get you 12 to 15 sacks, a lot of pressures, and just a very difficult one-on-one matchup.
Well, it also raises the question, guys, of going forward, how they're going to defend the run. I mean, it's easy to talk about the pass rush, and there's no question. Look, there have been many cases as you go back through the years in the NFL where 240-pound guys can rush the quarterback because they've got speed, they've got quickness, they've got some twitch to them. But now you get into the run game. And so what it raises a question to me is, are we going to see them essentially play nickel almost as their foundational defense? And again, now you do have run issues there, but if they play that 5-2 front, you're playing on the edge with guys who are 240 pounds. And that's not the ideal situation you want to be in. Vic Fangio knows that. He's been in the league a long time, so it's just, I'm curious to see what happens going forward. It's just 240-pound edge players are hard. In the run game, I'm speaking.
Yeah, in the run game. Yeah, and by the way, after that debacle against the Giants, the Eagles are 26th against the run at 134 yards per game, 25th in rushing yards allowed per run at 4.66. So there's an area they've already struggled.
And by the way, they have 8 sacks in 6 games. Think about in 2022, and when they went to the Super Bowl, lost. But that year, they had close to 70 sacks. I think they had something like 25 sacks on third down, which was far and away the most in the league. Right now, they only have 8 sacks. They're not really generating a lot of pressure. And also, getting back to the run game, one could make the argument, and I'll be honest, I was not awake at the time that this happened, but I saw it on tape, obviously.
Yeah.
When the Giants got the ball with 6 minutes and 50 seconds left, and they had 5 plays in that drive where they lined up with 3 tight ends and Bellinger as the I formation fullback, and they just physically handled the Eagles defense. That may have been, to me, the most surprising thing about that game, to be quite honestly. And that's, I'm not saying that teams are going to line up now in 3 tight ends and just run the
Sure.
ball, but running the ball is part of NFL offense. And
Greg, one more thing on that. You noted more than once that Cooper DeJean, he's been sort of an add-in defender against the run, and you pointed out to us, Wade, it clearly was not working at times because he's smaller, bigger for a defensive back. He's just not
right, but he's not 240 pounds.
Right? Are they still doing it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play nickel, the fact is your slot, depending on how you line up your front, okay? And I learned this from people that really understand fronts better than I do, defensive people. Sometimes, depending on your front, your slot is a B gap defender in the run game. And you really don't want your slot to be a B gap defender in the run game. So we'll see. I'm just raising the question. This is not me saying good, bad, and different. I don't know the answer to these questions. This, defensive coaches who know a lot more about defense and alignment than I do, they have to figure this out. But the fact is it's hard to play in this league in the run game if your edge players are 240 pounds.
And Greg and Jeff, as we send it back to Jeff here, not having Jalen Carter healthy, he misses a game, right? Obviously, that was a major problem. He has not been healthy. It was the shoulder. Now it's this mysterious heel injury. When he gets, assuming he plays this week, who the heck knows how he's going to play? They got problems. Some of it is you just got to deal with the injury factor. Some of it is youth. Some of it is size at certain positions. That they've got bigger challenges than we probably knew starting the season.
Just and then we'll get more specific, Jeff. But if you had said before the season that, based on what happened a year ago, that this team, after 6 games, and this is why every year is different, by the way, that's just the reality of the NFL, right, that the O-line would probably be a bottom half O-line in the league, that this team would not be able to run the ball, that they would not be able to rush the quarterback, that they would struggle to stop the run. If you said that in August, people would have looked at you like you had 3 heads.
Yes.
That's exactly the way it's played out through 6 games. So right, which all it does is prove that every year is a new year.
And so, and as we, get into this Eagles defense, which we're going to do in part 1, this is a new defense. This is a defense with a bunch of new starters. And then obviously when Jalen Carter doesn't play and Quinyon Mitchell comes out of the game, you're now behind the 8 ball even more. Not saying that's an excuse, but that is the case. So Greg, in this game, what we all said in the pregame show, the only way the Giants can even stay and have a chance in this game without Malik Neighbors and without Darius Slayton is if they're able to run the ball. So the Eagles have to know the Giants are going to try to run the ball. And you mentioned that the Giants do play a lot of 12 personnel. What was their plan of attack, the Giants?
Well, it's funny you say that because they didn't really run the ball until that last drive with any real
right.
Scatterbo had 44 yards on that final drive. So up until that point, he only had about 50 yards. It wasn't as if they were grinding away, Jeff, the run game, and you just looked up and said, oh, my God, they're just pounding them. That's not what really happened. Correct. They actually were very good throwing the ball, even though they didn't throw the ball with high volume. When they did throw the ball, they threw it really well. And Dart, surprisingly, I'm sure for many, was very good on 3rd down. Also, and that was a problem in the game. And there were a number of mental mistakes. There were a number of players who had played really well through 5 games who just did not play well in this game. And, sometimes that happens, particularly with young players. Makuba did not have a good game. I thought his eyes were not in the right place a few too many times. I thought Campbell, for the first time, there were times where I thought he wasn't certain as to what his responsibility was. I just thought that, some young players did not play well. And the reality is, after 13 snaps, the outside corners in nickel were Ringo and Jackson. And that's not the position you ideally want to be in.
But one thing before we get started, Dart ran the ball a lot. Most design, a mixture of design and you on his own? Okay.
Well, obviously that 20-yard scramble, which ended the first possession, I don't know if you plan on showing that, Jeff. But obviously that was a 3rd and 8 play, and it ended up being a touchdown. And, he left the pocket up the middle. Bond was in position, but it's hard. I mean, Vaughn's a really good athlete, but, it's still a quarterback who's got some athletic ability, and, that stuff gets hard. But there were plenty of other pass plays that were potentially problematic as well. So it was not the run game that really, to my way of watching the tape anyway, that for the first 3 quarters was the big factor in the game, as far as Scatterbo I'm talking about.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. No, I didn't do the Dart one when we take a look at the clips, only because they replayed it on TV quite a bit. I think
that's fine.
He pump faked, and once he got through, he pump faked Vaughn, got him off balance, and then was able to run it through. But to Greg, to your point, there were some really unpredictable, at least for me, Adam, I'm sure too, pass heroes for the Giants, including a guy they elevate from the practice squad in Little Jordan Humphrey. This is probably, I'm going to guess you're going to say that this is probably not the best show of tape for both Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson.
Yeah, but again, this is what happened in the game. I mean, we're not going to overdo it. I don't think that's necessary. But the reality is, they were playing with guys who we know Ringo's not an NFL starting corner. That's just a reality of tape. Mm-hmm. And we know Jackson probably at this point in his career is not either. Mm-hmm. So you ended up playing after 13 snaps when Mitchell went out with 2 guys who should not really be starting, And again, what people always have to remember, and you guys you guys have been around. I mean, I've been around a little longer because I'm older, but it's still NFL players. It's always easy to look at the Giants and go, oh, it's the Giants, they stink.
Right.
They're NFL players.
Yeah.
These guys are there for a reason.
Yep. Anything from a personnel or matchup standpoint that jumped out to you, 11, 12, 13% on nickel base, that you thought was noteworthy, Greg?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm trying to remember. Is there something in particular that was in my notes, Jeff, that I'm?
No, I was just asking. And really, here's one thing that sort of from your notes, but also sort of this continues to be Vic Fangio feeling like he has to blitz a little bit more than last year. Yep. And I feel like in the second half, maybe we'll see it on the clips. He probably had to blitz. He got burned by a few blitzes this time.
Yeah. And normally his MO with the Eagles anyway has been when he feels that the defense is not necessarily working ideally the way he'd like it to, he normally increases his blitz frequency in the second half. We've seen him do that with the Eagles. Now, again, you have to feel comfortable doing that, and sometimes you do it anyway just because you feel you need to make a play, mm-hmm. And the reality is Darden made some really good throws in this game, but he's still a little frenetic. I mean, and that watching the tape, and you're hoping he can get a little more frenetic, but then you got to tackle him.
Yeah. So I know you had some notes. We'll look at it in a second on both Ringo, but also Makuba. Makuba seemingly playing a little better in the run game than he is in coverage. Fair to say?
Yeah, and it showed up in this game. I mean, he's still a factor in the run game just because he plays downhill with such tenacity and competitiveness. But in this game, the perfect example of that was the Robinson 35-yard touchdown, which ended the second possession.
Right.
I watched that play over and over again because I wanted to make sure that I felt that I understood the coverage. And it really looked like cover 1 to me as I watched it. And they rushed 5. And Makuba just looked uncertain. He initially looked to match Robinson, and then he kind of turned him loose. And, of course, what happened was Dart moved around and hit Robinson, who was wide open. But Makuba just, to me, looked like he was unsure of what his coverage responsibility was.
Hey, that one guy in the group chat who hit a 5-leg parlay week 1, and he wouldn't shut up about it for the rest of the season? Sounds like Kaplan, right? Yeah, it could be him. It could be you, and we would all want to be you. MyBookie makes it stupid easy to get in on the action, whether it's college ball, NFL, super contest, and survivor pools, all the spreads, player props, and in-game lines that you could want all under one roof. What more could you want than that? If you're new to MyBookie, use our code, THEBIRDS, THEBIRDS, the birds. Use the code, and any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your bet back bonus token. There is no better time to jump in right now. No better place to play. Football is back. Let's make some money with my bookie. Sports are all about competition. Every snap, every possession, every clutch moment matters. That same energy is what 1v1 Me brings to video games. Every single day, you can watch and stake on matchups in Madden, NBA 2K, FC, and Call of Duty Search and Destroy. All the games are streamed live. Every match has refs, and payouts are instant. And these aren't just random online lobbies. These are the best players in the scene, pros, streamers, and rivals. With season playoffs and the championship game on the line, every game matters. Over $100 million has already been paid out on the app, and the community is growing fast. If you're a sports fan, a gamer, or just someone who loves having a little extra on the line, 1v1 Me is where you need to be. It's not just about winning, it's about the bragging rights too. Every match has a chat going crazy, and you can back your picks in real time. Download today and use code BIRDS. Your first stake on the app is risk-free. That's code BIRDS for a risk-free first stake. All right, well, we'll take a look at that play in a second. I want to start off very early in the game. I believe this is the first possession, and someone we just mentioned, little Jordan Humphrey, is going to make a 34-yard catch here.
Yeah, this was a jump ball.
Right.
And I believe was against Ringo.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Bottom of the screen.
Yeah, this was just, I mean, this was, again, second reaction movement. My dart, he moved. He didn't. He threw it up to the 101.
Right.
And you know what? It's matchup football. You throw it up. One thing about Humphrey is he's big. So, he throws it up to a bigger guy, and he goes, this is not terrible by Ringo.
No,
I mean, he was
just
there.
Back shoulder, right?
Yeah. Just, it's matchup football. He threw it up to his guy and gave him a chance.
Right. Now, I believe the Giants got a field goal, I thought, on their first possession. I can't – no, that was the Jackson
the first possession ended with the dart 20-yard touchdown.
Right. But then on their second possession, they come back, and I would like you to diagnose this 26-yard play, because I think this is going to illustrate some of the things you've talked about with Ringo and the hip fluidity. This is to Wan'Dale Robinson.
So this is
26 yards.
26-yarder. Yep. Yeah. This is where he beats him on the crosser. He's matched on number one into the boundary, and you can see if you go back a little bit here, and we can see it again.
Bottom of the screen for those.
Right. Right. So Robinson is actually an outside receiver here.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about Ringo is he almost stops his feet, which is, of course you can never do as a corner.
Right.
And he's not in good position.
Yeah.
And
look how far off he is at the break point right here. Yeah.
With a receiver, by the way, that is not a burner.
Right.
I mean, Robinson's game is not built on speed.
He's got good quicks though. He's built
on quickness.
Yeah, he's not exactly. That's why as soon as the Giants got him, I remember talking to someone there, they're like, gadget plays, slot. He's not going to play outside for us, and that's pretty much been.
Yeah, and here he is outside just because the Giants,
they needed him. They don't have anyone else.
Well, plus, if you're going to play him and you're playing a ton of 12 personnel, which they did, then he's going to have to line up outside. I mean, that's just the reality.
You can reduce him too, but yeah.
This is 12 personnel because you can see an inline tight end, and you can see Theo Johnson in the slot. But
right.
And by the way, Theo, so for those watching, Cooper DeJean is on Theo pretty good here, and you can see the difference because they're running what looks like a mesh, I guess, at the 50, and there's just so much more space that Ringo is giving Robinson.
I never know what's in a corner's head, and I don't like to speak about that because, you just don't know. I don't speak to what's in players' heads. But watching Ringo here, it just has the look of a corner that's just struggling with his confidence. Like he's uncertain because he's obviously a very good straight line athlete, and he's very good on special teams. But, you're dealing with a guy in Robinson that's quick but not fast. And by the way, great freeze. Don't move it.
Yeah, I was just about to say right here.
Right here.
Yep.
I mean, that's just really bad body position right there.
Yeah. That looks like a corner who's afraid of getting beat deep, so he's playing way off on a crosser.
Yeah. So again, like I said, I don't know specifically what's in his head, but he does not look like a confident guy right there. And actually, this wasn't a very good throw, and it still ended up being caught.
And then maybe the worst part of it is the guy catches the ball, and Ringo didn't make the tackle. He got 5 extra yards there.
Right.
So you mentioned this is the same possession, and you were talking about Makuba and trying to figure out the coverage on the 35-yard play, right? To
Right.
Robinson.
To Robinson, the touchdown.
Okay, so set this up for what you're looking for here.
Yeah, I know that. So you can start to run it because I thought this was cover one behind a 5-man pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so look at Makuba. Okay, as it plays out, you can see Vaughn expand with the back. Okay,
right.
You can see DeJean is clearly on whoever. I don't know if that's Johnson or
I think it's Theo. It looks like
then
Theo.
obviously the outside corner. It's still Mitchell at this point in the game is matched on the outside receiver. So Robinson, the only guy who can really play him is Makuba here. And he starts to go inside with, he's almost, to me, uncertain to start the play. And then I think then I thought, okay, he knows he's got to play him. And then Robinson breaks outside and then Makuba just kind of stops and sits there.
Yeah.
So I think he just had the sense of being uncertain right from the beginning of the play as I watched this play over and over again. So, only he could tell you what he was thinking, but they clearly look like they're playing man because even the Bellinger shallow crosser up top, you see that is that Ringo? Yeah,
that would be Ringo. Yeah,
Ringo's immediately matching him. So everybody looks like they're playing man behind a 5-man pressure, except Makuba, who looks like I'm not sure what I'm doing.
Yeah, it looks like he should be on the 3. Which is usually what the safety and the cover one in that situation would do.
Right.
Yeah.
Which he's done numerous times this year.
Yeah, I hate to beat a dead horse. That's why they brought Makuba here for this. This was supposed to be.
This is a mental mistake, not a physical mistake.
And then Coop he falls down here.
Yeah, it looks like he gets caught up in the wash here, which he threw himself into the wash and then gets caught up.
He steps on Makuba's foot, by the way.
Well, then didn't Makuba try to compensate, recover and miss the tackle?
I believe somebody missed the tackle after
Makuba.
Yeah, you're right. Bad job.
They took the wrong angle. Correct. Yeah, it took for the shoulder pad. Yep.
Yeah, it was a bad play. Again, I don't know. What I think what we said is true, but that's what it looked like.
Right. All right. Later in the game, second quarter, we're going to see another completion to our favorite receiver, Little Jordan Humphrey. This is on a 3rd and 6.
Was this the 9-yarder?
Yes.
Yeah, and this is the classic Kaylee Ringo situation. It's 3rd and 6. It's a stop route from he's the boundary X Humphrey on this play. It's on the backside of trips, and this is a classic case of what we talked about with Ringo. And as he struggles to stop, he's in press, which is ideally the best position for him to be in, but he just struggles to stop.
Right,
and therefore it's complete for 9 yards and a first down on 3rd and 6, and then he tackles him.
Yep. And that is the throttling down that they talk about where he struggles, right?
Yeah, that's where the tight hips, come into play.
That was Jeff, when we talked about Ringo 3 years ago when they drafted him, just from the on-field stuff, it was the turning his hips,
right?
And as Greg talked about stopping and starting, but we hadn't really talked about the stop and starting much because he had barely played.
Right.
You just see him in training camp when he would struggle, back of his jersey, guys running past him. But he's
just a stiff core athlete, and you can't really fix that.
Cannot, Greg. We've asked so many people. Yeah, totally, absolutely, totally. That's it. Yep.
So I have both angles of the 4-yard touchdown run by Scadaboo, and we talked about run defense and being light, and maybe guys getting cleared out. I think Ojulari is the one who's taken out on the pull here, Greg.
Yeah, but he's in a tough spot. He's in a tough spot because he's coming from outside in. And he can't really set a firm base, and but he still gets blocked, obviously.
Yeah. Who's the right guard? Is that Runyon?
Power. They're running.
Yeah, Power.
No, the right tackle is Van Roten, is it not?
Oh, that's right.
Right guard Van Roten.
Right
tackle. Yeah.
Is the right tackle the one that pulled? I thought it was. No, it was the right guard.
It's the right guard, Van Roten.
Yeah, Van Roten pulls, lowers it in. Really, Baughan looked like he was there and just tried to.
The other interesting thing on this play is. Look at Thomas. Look how he drove. That's Ty Robinson, I believe.
Yes, it is 95. Correct. Yeah,
he drove him off the ball. Although he had some good snaps in this game, but this one he just got driven right off the ball, which gave Van Roten all the space he needed to do whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah. So Thomas, for those watching, is 78 left tackle. He's up against Ty Robinson, and he really pile drives him, gets him back, and that clears the hole for Scott.
So this way, in a sense, Van Roten could do it. He could take Ojulari wherever he wanted to go. So let's say Ojulari jumped inside, then he would have just taken him inside, and Scadaboo would have gone outside. He had space to take him wherever Ojulari dictated.
Yep. Good line of blocking there. It looks like Bourne was so close, Greg. Right? I mean, he got the gap and he was there at the ankle, but probably just not in the best position.
Yeah, and he's reaching.
Yeah. All right, now we've got another catch by Wan'Dale Robinson. This is 3rd and 2, and he's going to go for 15 yards.
Good ball.
Wow. Rewind that again. 3rd and 2 for 15 yards to Wan'Dale. It looks like the
this is a good concept because they've been getting a lot of man, so they basically run a stack release and a legal rub route by Johnson. Johnson doesn't do anything illegal here at all, but he basically sets a pick. And what happens is that who's on the outside here? That's Jackson.
Wan'Dale?
No, the corner. Is that?
Oh, the corner. Yeah, that's Jackson.
Yeah. So Jackson, because he's playing, because there's a couple of factors here. It's a reduced split and it's stacked. So Jackson is playing with some depth and some width, which most people play versus reduced splits and certainly a stack. So then he gets caught up because, like I said, it's a natural pick, and this is just it's a good concept.
Yeah. By the way, the Eagles are in base here. If
that's right. Cooper's on the outside there.
Yeah. Well, it's 3rd and 2.
Yep, 3rd and 2. Good point. And the Giants
they got 12 personnel on the field.
Yep, they got 12 personnel. So that might be Ringo. Now that I think about it, I can't quite tell from the number. We'll see it in a second. But really nice throw there between two defenders.
That's a good ball.
That looks like an 8. So I'm going to say that that's actually, you are correct in that it was Adoree Jackson. Yeah. So I guess because the way the game started, I think Ringo was the starter in base. Well, no, Mitchell was. Then he came out.
Well, then Mitchell and DeJean started in base.
Right, but then when Mitchell came out, wasn't it Ringo and DeJean, and then it sort of became Jackson at the end?
Because they started to take Ringo out. Yes,
right. But that was another blitz that I was referring to that got beat because it looks like Vic sends 6 here, huh? Not a lot of pressure for a 6-man rush. That's not what you want to see when you send 6.
They've not really been able to pressure the quarterback as much as we thought they might be able to. It's been an issue.
Particularly this game, Jeff.
Yep.
Coming in, the right side was the area where they got to win, and they did not win.
Yeah, and this was a big play, I think, against the blitz as well. Now, Greg, there's an overloaded front here, so that's
loaded front.
Play.
Yeah. So
loaded front. Yeah.
Which play is this, Jeff?
Theo Johnson for 22.
In the third quarter. This came out of 12 personnel again, even though it's 3rd and 8. It's 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. The Eagles are going to rush 5 from a loaded front. It's the first time they showed a loaded front in the game. Campbell became the 5th rusher here. This was another play where I thought Makuba's eyes were just not in the right spot. When you see it from him facing you, it looks like he's looking inside, and he's got Johnson here. I mean, there's no question, and he's just slow to react because I don't think his eyes are in the right spot.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Look at his feet go forward. He's beat. I mean, he's just beat. Yeah.
For those, he's at the, he starts off in a too high cut. Oh man, all right, too high set.
Right, and then they go to cover 1 behind a 5-man pressure.
Top of the screen, he comes in. He knows he's got to have Theo, and it looks like he's completely taking his momentum in the wrong way.
And unless he guessed here, maybe he guessed and thought Johnson was going to run an in-breaker.
Yeah.
But you can't guess like that.
Yeah.
And actually, they did get a little pressure on Dart, but because Johnson was so clean on his break, it was, he didn't have to wait and see. He could just get rid of the football.
I'm glad you said that because that's probably what's going to bother Vic the most out of that. Vic got a little pressure. He's going to blitz. He needs his guys to be disciplined, not jumping routes. And I think remember that play against Tampa where we weren't sure what he was doing there, and Vic said in the press conference he's got to learn to play his either deep half or play his coverage right.
Right.
And if he's jumping and getting caught, that was good pressure. There was a free rusher there.
Yeah, well, Campbell hesitated on his rush, and he was clean to Dart, but he hesitated, and then Hunt beat the right tackle off the edge, but the timing of Dart's throw beat the pressure.
Yeah, they made it too easy for Dart and Theo on that one.
Yep.
What did you like about Ty Robinson this game, Greg? Just curious. because I know he
had a couple of good snaps where he showed some physicality. He had a really good club move, I remember, on one play. Just a couple of good snaps. I mean, he ended up playing a meaningful number of snaps because Carter did not play.
Yep.
All right, Greg, you mentioned this, and I thought this was such an un-Eagles-like thing to happen. The Giants get the ball back with, what was it, 650, and they never give it back to the Eagles. They convert a pretty big third down here to Scattaboo on a pass, and I think Makuba once again is on your radar for maybe not doing the right thing.
This was the pass play.
Yeah, 3rd and 5.
Oh,
play action.
Yeah. This is the reception. I think that you could argue that Makuba was a little slow here too.
Yeah. I mean, this is 3rd and 5. This is a big play in the game, and he had all the space and time in the world there.
Well, what happened here, his eyes were inside. They'd been running the ball, and his eyes got caught up in the backfield. And this time Scatterbo released, and, it became pitch and catch.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a great throw either, but it was just too easy.
Yeah, I can't say I thought Jackson Dart was making great throws left and right, but
no, he wasn't.
Combination of finding some one-on-ones and then taking advantage of some.
This is a game where the Eagles defensive coaches and players are kicking themselves because they just had too many mental mistakes, too many assignment mistakes. It was just one of those games. It was a bad game.
Yeah. Hey, fall is planting season. Did you know that many plants and trees actually do better when planted this time of the year? But you got to know where to start, and that's why I love fastgrowingtrees.com. Doesn't matter if you live in the sunny south or if the air's getting a little chilly where you are, the plant experts can help you find the perfect fit for your space. They've got everything your yard needs: fruit trees, privacy trees, shrubs, flowering trees, so much more. And Fast Growing Trees makes it so easy for you to have your dream yard because you can order online and get your plants delivered directly to your door. If you're like me, you're tired of spending way too much money on landscaping. And if you walk into one of those nurseries and you look at all the stuff they have, you have no idea where to begin. That's why you need fastgrowingtrees.com. Doesn't matter about the size of your yard. They got over 6,000 plants to fit any space, and a 14-point quality checklist ensures you will get the best quality plants possible. This fall, they have the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to our show get 15% off their first purchase when using the code BIRDS at checkout. 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code BIRDS at checkout. Now's the perfect time to plant. Use BIRDS to save today. The offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Check out the link below or in the show notes and support the show. Hey, Philly fans, game day is stressful enough. Parking, traffic, long lines. We've all been there. But when it comes to your cannabis, Camden Apothecary makes it easy. This is the dispensary for sports fans, just minutes outside of Philly with plenty of free parking. You'll be in and out fast, no hassle, no waiting, and they don't just care about convenience. Camden Apothecary is all about the guest experience. Their staff makes sure you feel taken care of every time you walk in. Plus, they carry only the best quality cannabis at the fairest prices. So whether you're stocking up for the tailgate, the watch party, or celebrating a big win, you know you're getting the good stuff without overpaying. They even show love to the community with specials for fans, students, service members, and healthcare pros. Camden Apothecary, top quality cannabis, great prices, and an experience made for Philly fans 21 and up. Let's close it on this because Adam and I talked about this in the postgame show. A little surprised by how the Eagles were manhandled up front at the line at the point of attack. It just did not look like an Eagles type of physical performance.
I agree.
You felt that on tape that they were just getting, blown off the ball at times and just
a little bit. And then of course on the final drive, it really showed up.
Right. Absolutely. All right.
I mean, I remember watching the tape because, as I said, I was sleeping by that point in the game, and seeing that because I watched the Eagles offense first when I watched the tape, and I see that their last play comes with like 6:55 to go, and I'm just going, "What? They're done? They don't get the ball again?" And then of course, I watched the Giants offense, and I was kind of that really surprised me, because you don't think about that with the Eagles at all.
No.
And there was nothing gimmicky about it. They lined up with 3 tight ends, Bellinger as the I formation fullback, and they said, "Here we come, stop us."
Absolutely.
And they didn't.
And look, we know on Sunday, the Vikings, they like to play in the trenches. They like to run the ball if they can. We'll see about the health of what they do at quarterback and running back. But when they are at full strength or even close to it, they like to run the ball as much as anyone. So
any sense, Adam, of the quarter,
for Hurts, Wentz has a shoulder issue, but they think he'll be able to play. McCarthy, I listened to O'Connell's press conference on Monday. They worked him out last week. They're going to give him more work this week. Didn't sound like it's definite that he's playing. And then Blake Cashman should play this week. He was one of their starting inside backers. He's a good player.
What's their running back situation like with Jones?
Jones is on it. He's
still on IR, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And then Mason, look, other than that one fumble, he's done what they've asked him to do. They got that kid. What's this? Xavier? I can't think of the kid's last name. Who was an undrafted free agent last year? The kid from Maine.
I know who you're talking about. Xavier Scott.
Yeah,
right.
Who this kid could catch the football. He's got good size.
He's a good receiver too.
Yeah, no, he's caught the ball really well. So
we'll talk more about this later in the week. But Wentz has played well in 3 games.
Well, the last game against Cleveland, I was like, okay, no turnovers. Even one of the receivers said, "Man, Wentz is dealing it, like he's feeling."
And he didn't get sacked very much. That's the other thing. He was getting rid of the football.
Well, the thing though that because I think Greg, the game before against Pittsburgh, the mechanics weren't sublime.
His mechanics are never going to be great on every play, Adam. He's not that guy.
I understand. No, but what you worry about when he's got the overstride,
right?
That ball sails on him, and that's what you're always worried about. But more on that when we do our pregame show later this week.
All right, so that's a look at the Eagles' defense against the Giants, and on the next episode, we'll get to the offense. For Greg Cosell and Adam Kaplan, I'm Jeff Mosher. You've been watching Inside the Tape with Greg Cosell on Inside the Birds.